Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah, salatu wassalam rasulillah. Today we're going to review chapter 2 from the Nahw book. And this chapter is, the title is Al-Mu'rabu wal-Mabniyu. So Al-Mu'rab, Al-Mu'rabu wa Al-Mabniyu. So Mabniyu, Al-Mu'rabu and Mabniyu. Okay, so first we have to understand that what these terms mean. A word is mu'rab if it declines, like Muhammadin, Muhammadin, Muhammadin. So those are three conditions. A word that is able to transform those conditions, the i'rab, the last letters, then it's a mu'rab. And mabni, a word that is mabniyun, is a word that does not transform like that. Okay, so the verb is fixed in all states, and it does not have Muhammadin, Muhammadin, Muhammadin type of properties. So these are declinable and indeclinable. So mu'rab words are declinable, and mabni words are indeclinable. They remain the same. They do not transform into anything. So the chapter starts on page 27. And then we talk about Anwa'ul Bina. So mabni. So Anwa'ul Bina. So Anwa'u. Anwa means types. Anwa'ul Bina. Bina'i. Anwa'ul Bina'i. Mudaf ilayh. Construction. Anwa'ul Bina'i means mabni words. What can they be mabni on? So words can be mabni fixed, and they can remain fixed in that condition. They can be fixed in a dhamma state. Dhamma. They can be fixed in a dhamma state. Dhamma. Dhammun. Or they can be fixed in a fathun state. That's a fathun. They can be fixed in a fathun state, or they can fixed in a kasrat state. Kasrun state, or they can be fixed in a sukoon state. Okay, sukoon. So, in other words, the word is mabni, and it could be mabni with the last letter being a dhamma, or the last letter being a fatha, the last letter being a kasra, or the last letter having a sukoon, and it can be fixed in that state. So the mabni and anwa'ul bina, the types of indeclines in states are dhamun, fathun, kasrun, or sukunun. Okay. Now, and then words that are declinable, what states that they go on? Like they go in like Muhammadin, 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 right? Those are states. Those states are raf'un. Okay. Nasbun. Okay, and of course jarrun. Ja. Okay, and or jazmun. Jazmun. So states that change, they can go from rafa to nasab to jar to jazm. Okay, they can go in those. So those are the four possible declinable states. So a word that is fixed, it can be fixed on something. It can be fixed on dhamma, it can be fixed on a fatha, it can be fixed on a kasra, it can be fixed on a sukun. So these can be fixed. And words that change, it can take these forms. It can be rafa, it can be nasab, it can be jar. So we know this, right? Or those are jazm. So these are anwa ul bina, and these are anwa ul i'rab. i'rab i'rabi, right? Mudaf mudaf, construction. So these are anwa ul i'rab. So i'rabs can take these forms, and mabni can be on these forms. Okay, so how do we recognize these states? How do we know a word is in a rafun, nasbun, or jarrun, right? How do we recognize? Well, we can recognize, of course, by the harakat, Muhammadun, Muhammadan, Muhammadin. Okay, so here let's technically alamatu. Here's what we call alamatu, signs. Alamatu الإعراب. علامات الإعراب مضاف إليه. So علامات الإعراب, how do we recognize which conditions these are? There are actually two ways to recognize this. Okay. So the إعراب, it can be, of course, بحركة. Okay. So الإعراب بالحركة بالحركة بالحركة. That is, by fatha, kasra, dhamma, or sukun, that's or jazm, right? So you can recognize the state by haraka. Sometimes though you don't recognize them by haraka, but by huruf. So this is al-i'rab bil huruf. بالحروف. Okay, بالحروف. And this is actually, in certain words, you will recognize by huruf. And by huruf, this is actually what we mean is huruf al-illa. So this is actually huruf al-illa. Okay, illati. Okay, now huruf al-illa are three, right? These are alif, waw, and ya. Okay, so sometimes they tell us what state that is in. So if you have a certain word, and if you want to decide if it's rafa, nasab, jazm, or jar or jazm, then you look at the last harakat. That's this. You look at the last harakat, or you look at the presence or absence of this huruf al-illa. Okay, so certain circumstances. For example, so. إعراب بالحركة is easy, like that's Muhammad, it's like Muhammadun. Okay, that's the haraka is dun, so that's rafa. But if it was done, Muhammadan, it would be nasab. It was Muhammadin, it would be jar. Okay, in this case, it's those three. So if it's not in that case, for example, abuka, for this word, abuka. Okay, this vowel here, okay, this vowel here indicates that it is in a nasab form. Sorry, in a rafa form. Abuka, this is in a rafa form. All right, and if it's like abaka, okay, this alif here instead of the waw, this alif. This is in a nasab form, and if it's like this, abika, then it is in a jar form. So these three huruf illa tell us also whether it's rafa, nasab, or jar. So again, alamatul i'rab. How do you recognize the i'rab? How do you recognize if they are in these states? You recognize either by al haraka or by the huruf al illa bil huruf. Okay. Al-i'rab bil-huruf, that is in this case particularly huruf illa. Okay, that's what it is. So what do we have talked about here? So we talked about that words are either mabni or either mu'rab, that is they decline, they change in shapes, uh, in conditions. They actually change conditions. That we should say, don't necessarily always change shape. They change conditions, and they can be and they call it declinable. And these conditions are rafa, nasab, jar, and jazm, or mabni, and they're indeclinable, and they can be indeclinable in a state of dammun, fathun, kasrun, or sukunun. So anwa al-bina are these four: dammun, fathun, kasrun, sukun, and anwa al-i'rab are rafun, nasbun, jarrun, and jazmun. Okay, jazm. Notice sukun is here and jazm is over here. Okay, jazm. All right. So those are uh, 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 okay. Now Rafa, therefore, will be in a state of Rafa if there is a Dhamma or Dhammatun, okay? It will be a state of Nasab if it's one Fatha or Fathatain. It will be Jar if it's one Kasra or two Kasratain. Or it will be Jazm if there's a Sukun on it, okay? Those are it. Or in case if it is I'rab by بالحروف, it would be Rafa would be with the Waw, and Nasab will be an Alif, and Jar will be with the Ya. Okay, and Huruf Illa. Okay, so Waw is the Huruf Illa that suggests Rafa, Alif is the Huruf Illa that suggests Nasab, and Ya is the Huruf Illa that suggests Jazm. Okay. Then this section ends with this clarification about these two things. Okay, what's the difference between uh, between these two things? Fatha, fathatun, kasratun. Sorry, so what's the difference between these three? Let's start with dammatun. Okay, what's the difference between damma, dammatun, like this, dammatun, okay, and then fathatun and kasratun and fathatun kasratun and then a different, slightly different spelling, such as different dammun, fathun, and kasrun. Okay, so like this. So there's a two different spelling of these words. Okay, now the simple thing is ordinarily when you're referring to dhamma, fatha, and kasra, you use these words. But when you're describing a state of mabni, so when you state of a mabni word, okay, so when describing state of a mabni word, you use this. So they're used as description for mabni words. So you say, for example, daraba, daraba, this is failed madi and it is mabni, okay? So daraba, you can say it has a fathatun on the daraba, it has a fathatun on the ra, and it's a fathatun on the ba. It has fathatun with the ta with the, on all three, but you say it is mabni ala, it's mabni on fatha, fathun, fathun. So you're describing it, so you use mabni ala fathun. So you can say it has a fathatun on ba, it has a fathatun on the ra, and it has a fathatun on the ba. But when you're describing it as mabni, you say it's mabni ala fathun. So you use this form only when describing a word that is mabni. That's like a little spelling thing that is peculiar, and so you know that you use this for when only describing a mabni state. Inshallah, we shall continue in the next video. Salatu wassalamu ala